I'm not exactly sure. I have a couple. If you see the description, you can see the 3 albums that are up there. Maybe you might have to help me pick out the track, because there are only 3 albums that are up now, but I have a lot of tracks on Bandcamp, and then I have a lot of others that are still, that I just play for y'all live, that are not out yet. So let me know. Maybe I can help you decipher which one it is. If it's like electronic, then it's Vibration Theater. If it has lyrics, it could be Calling My Mind or Captain of the Stars. A little bit of Jupiter. You can see it's already starting to stretch. It's about starting to set in the southwest for me. And just want to hop on and say what's up to everybody at the top. What's up, Tammy? What's up, Starlight Spectrum? And what's up, Joe? And 24/7 and The Plain Truth. And whoever else is joining. Hope y'all are feeling okay tonight. It's pretty humid here. You can see it's affecting the image pretty drastically, but no clouds in sight, and the moon's looking nice and large, 91%, closing in on full in the next few days. So I had to take a little break last night, got a little bit of rest, but definitely could sleep some more. Although I have some energy now, got some food, got some coffee. I'll quickly put up some Jupiter moon names. All the way at the left we got Ganymede, and then Europa. And I got Callisto and Io. up, Ellie? And what's going on, Bom Dia? How you both doing? So just pulled us over to the moon. Definitely crazy not chromatic, but atmospheric distortion tonight. So it's like it used to be during the winter, kind of just jumping back between focused and not focused. Scope seems fine, but yeah, let's see if this dissipates as the show goes on. Let's get some tunes up in here. Get the show rolling. Salute. You can see Aristarchus peeking out from under the Terminator. It's going to be great. Sinus Iridum up top, Copernicus and Kepler at the bottom. Lots of good features to explore tonight. Yo, yo, what up, everybody? Just gonna shout out the peeps just joining. What's going on? Somebody somewhere. And Howard Ewing and Corey. Welcome, everybody. Just doing a little close-up here of sinus iridum. So you can see the focus is going in and out. I think that's due to atmospheric turbulence. It's common during the winter months, but not really in the summer. I think it's probably due to, I don't know, I feel like it might be just the heat or residual weather patterns. I don't know, but it's a little bit less than when I first started, so hopefully it'll dissipate. Yeah, what's happening? Fresh 75. Good mooning. So what else we got? We got Mons Recti, Montes Pico, Plato Crater looking good. We got the Alpine Mountain Range, Montes Alpes, and then Valles Alpes that cut. Archimedes, Aristillus, Autolycus, all in Mare Imbrium. Interesting, it was Eratosthenes. Looking a little bit different. The relief is definitely different. Copernicus. Kepler's looking awesome. So interesting, like which features pop and which don't. And then Aristarchus be peeking right under the Terminator. This is the cool shot for tonight, for sure. I definitely urge y'all to take a snapshot. I'm going to adjust the contrast. So let's take a snapshot here of Aristarchus, and then in like an hour, let's take a look at it again, and then compare those two screenshots. So let me know if y'all want to do that. I'll hold it up for a couple of minutes. Yo, yo, what's up, ESA Power? Asked me a good question, says, so out of curiosity more than anything else, what's the main source of vibration in the image we're seeing? Is it just because the camera is on a tripod or some such? So this is actually an 8-inch scope on its normal tripod, which is, it's not the sturdiest, right? So I have an 11-inch scope with a much sturdier tripod. So the 8-inch has it's a Celestron Nexstar 8 with a pretty standard fork arm mount. So the fork arm is a single arm, so it's a little bit vibrational from hoisting a camera and the scope, right? But then the fork arm is also on kind of a, not cheap, but middle of the range tripod, and it's also on a staircase on an apartment building with AC. So there's a lot of vibration going on. In addition, the heat and the weather patterns are causing a bit of atmospheric turbulence. So all of that combined means it's semi-clear and then it rumbles a little bit. That's the downside, of doing this kind of rogue backyard astronomy. But maybe tomorrow or the night after, I'm going to switch over to the front porch on my 11-inch, and it's going to almost have no vibration at all because that's set up a lot better. That's the quick answer. And also welcome. And welcome to anybody else joining. Who else do we have? Mario, what's going on? And Michael Wise, like the new icon thumbnail. And that's all I see. And I think Darren Moore too. What's going on, Darren Moore? Dankenstein's Monster tonight. Yo, that's my pleasure, ESA Power. I spent a little time on Kerbal, but not that much. It's a cool program, but when you have the real thing, it's tough to play games. Anyway, welcome, and what's up, David Schmidt? Welcome, how you doing? Anybody who wants to lurk is welcome, of course. Did I miss anybody? Let me know if I missed you. What's up, Kimberly? Nice to see you. I think I shouted out everybody. Oh, there's Zorro too. I see the man on the moon and it looks like David Lynch. That is pretty funny. I love space too. I do this because out of passion and a little sense of duty. And not obligation duty, but duty of man, if I can see the space like this, then I gotta share it with people. It just doesn't feel right to keep it to myself. And it's become kind of a little bit obsessive, but it's for the best reasons, and we have so little real space footage that if I can provide some of it, makes me happy. My evening's going well, definitely humid as hell, but gonna cruise through it. I feel it's gonna be fine. And the clarity is getting better on the image, so that's good. Timeless Truths is leaking. Or lurking. The Dank Lurkers. Ooh, the Dank Lurkers is a great Dank Clerk. The Dank Clerks. Yeah, I got Jupiter setting and got Saturn right in view a little bit southwest. Quick shout out to my Electric Universe peoples. Go through the list real quick. It is Electro TerraVision and Thunderbolts Project and Greg J and Electric Universe Eyes and Kronos, See the Pattern, Suspicious Observers, Sky Scholar, and of course the Electric View. If you have not checked that out, I'm hanging out with those cats, and that show that I was on Sunday with them just came out, and Andrew Hall was on that. Really interesting stuff. It's fun to be that close to really interesting people, smart people, great ideas to bounce around all this EU plasma cosmology stuff in real time. ESA Power says, I appreciate that. Thank you. I appreciate your appreciation. When it's so easy to look up and enjoy it. I used to stargaze now and then. Did you know that here in the UK they shut off street lights in rural areas? Man, that's awesome. It's really kind of, there are some cities where really the citizens have taken up that cause to reduce street lamps and to turn them into slightly less emission bulbs. But I haven't seen it really happen here in Florida. But we'll see. There are not a lot of, I mean, typically you'd think like this is one of the best states for deep sky imaging and of course regular astro imaging, but I haven't seen it. We're gonna need it because, you know, more and more buildings go up and this kind of thing is just ruining the sky. However, I'm gonna stay positive. We still got a view of the moon that's pretty outlandish, and yeah. So actually just shouting out that that's great. Little towns should do that, and more cities should really think about light when it comes to astro imaging and seeing the sky. Just pay attention to it, talk to your representatives, talk to your friends about it, and it's not unimportant because sooner or later, actually I read an article today, not to be negative, but the whole Starlink satellite thing with SpaceX, they're just increasing their launch capabilities and adding more people to the program and like speeding that up. So more and more they're going to have all of these little cube satellites everywhere, and it's going to be really just kind of a mess. It's just a matter of time, really. What's going on, Mississippi Case? Yeah, I know Crow mentioned the Saturn wave. Shout outs to OG Crow. Howard Ewing, you watched the Electric View. Thanks, man. Appreciate that. I know a lot of y'all came through, but next Sunday again, I think they'll have another show, or the Sunday after that, so tune in. I kind of been like talking to people in the chat while I'm on that stream with them. You know. Also, a good episode came out today. I think, what was it? See the Pattern did an assessment of the Sapphire Project video. And then Electric Universe Eyes, who was on the show a couple of nights back, electrified an egg, which I loved. And Greg J put out part 3 of the Saturn Death Cult, which is really interesting as well. So that's what's going on. No news on the Chandrayaan 2 mission. I read like a long article today about, what was it, on phys.org, or maybe it was like Space News, and about how the Artemis mission really doesn't have the funding or the support to really make it to 2024. We'll see, but it's not looking good. So our moon missions are a little bit stagnated. We shall see. I find it interesting because there's really no holistic vision for a space future. We have a Space Force, and we have a tentative moon mission, but it doesn't seem like there's a coherent statement from America really on like what they want to do in space. Everybody's all over the place, and some people really want to go to Mars, others really insist we need a lunar base. I think lunar bases are probably the first step. It would be ridiculous not to have those as a stepping stone. Yo, what's going on? Charlie Lane. Great vid. I am so impressed watching from Japan. Thank you. What is it? Ohio gozaimasu. Konbanwa. Onegashimasu. So, welcome from Japan. That's awesome. And what is that, like 12 hours ahead or something? So just checking out the moon here. This is the camera, Sony Alpha, right into the 8-inch scope. So it's pretty close up. I typically start with a much wider shot with the focal reducer, but I wanted to quickly go around to the planets. So let's do that, and then we'll get back to the moon. It'll be even closer. It'll be even closer. It'll be clearer. ESA says, SpaceX is quite promising, don't you think? I do, but I also think that like they're only one agency, and they're being leaned on like maybe too heavily to some degree. Like NASA's leaning on them. They have their own missions, and yeah, I feel like they're the I don't want to say the sore thumb. They're the shining pillar, but yeah, we'll see what SpaceX does. It's really interesting to read about the SLS and about the different rockets and their capabilities, but it seems like it's kind of very difficult to get men on the moon, to the moon, even though apparently we've done that. So what's happening? Terry H, welcome. So we'll see if, and Elon Musk doesn't really talk about the moon stuff that much, actually. It seems like he's very keen on these, landing these rockets and reusable rockets, which is great, but it would be great to see NASA get funding and get Congress to really take this moon mission seriously and have NASA return to a transparent or mostly transparent, open space program. And instead of asking other private space agencies, maybe ask Americans to take up the flag and start working on a new space program for the next 10, 20 years. And I'm sure some people are like, oh, they're already doing that. What the hell are you talking about? But I still think it's very, it's still low key compared to how many agencies and there are for other types of, for infrastructure and for medicine and for politics. I mean, just politics and Hollywood, if you diverted those funds towards the space race again, it would be way more fun with the level of technology we have and the amount of interest in it. I think it's just so strange where they say there's no will, but or there's no money in space, but really there should be. It would be create an amazing business vertical. There'd be a lot of jobs around technology, around like manufacturing, and it would open up a lot of private industry and middle-sized industry. So I advocate for that. It would be nice to have an open space program. All right. A little bit of Tycho and Clavius and Schickard crater. Those are the elongated ones down at the south region. Very prominent rays tonight. Central peaks at Tycho. Above that, you got Oceanus Procellarum and the Procellarum Basin, Kepler, Copernicus, and Aristarchus in shadow, which is really one of my favorites. So let's go quickly and check out Saturn and Jupiter, and I'll get back to the moon shortly. I'm gonna find us a song to groove to while I fly. Shall we fly? Let's fly. ESA, at the risk of sounding like a knuckle-dragging Neanderthal, would putting a piece of sponge under the tripod feet help dampen vibrations? Well, I actually do have like a silly putty type of thing that holds the legs in place and that reduces vibrations a lot already. The two back legs don't have enough room to put anything under them, so it's just one leg. It's also like such a rickety rig. I have one leg that's extended. Like, you should really never set up a tripod with one leg longer than the others, but it's on a staircase. So what's really going on is the vibrations coming from the whole staircase, shaking everything. But it's definitely not a bad question. I do have vibration pads for the 11, and it helps a lot. Fresh75 says, I've been waiting over 10 years since Virgin Galactic to send men to so-called space tourism. That's why many have asked for the money back from Virgin. I understand that. I remember being a teenager when I read about that, and or like early 20s, and I was like, man, are they really doing that? And they still haven't. What's happening? Shockwave Rick, what's happening? Nice to see you. Hello, Nibiru. Let me set up some of our moons. I had this earlier, was Ganymede, up at the top left, and then Europa, and Callisto, and then Io hanging out. Yo, what's going on? Renee AC. Thanks for providing us. I am happy to. It's my pleasure. Charlie Lane says, very good, my friend. I have 7 years here and do not speak Japanese. Arigato, thank you. I only know a few words, but those were the first ones. What is it? Ohayo gozaimasu is good morning, and then konbanwa is good evening, I think. So I learned those. What's up, Douglas is asking for catch. I can do that. Certainly. I can certainly play that. Boom. A little bit of catch. This is on the Captain of the Stars album. Links for all the music, or some of the music, is in the description of this video. 3 albums that I released, and then TakeBackSpace.bandcamp.com has like 80 tracks on it, and then a lot of the stuff I just play for y'all directly. But this is out there.
I left home at 17. Couldn't tell you if I was living a dream. What could I do? For a while I played the field. How could I prove the hidden yield without the blues to feel? My heart was cruel and left no residue. Catch me if you fall, catch me when you're low. The look goes higher, as friends you used to know. Catch you when you fall, catch you when you're I love you, take a good look, it's a simulation. Wake up, it's solitary. Wake up, it's imaginary. And don't you know, your life is worth more than What can take a good look, it's simulation. Wake up in solitary. Wake up, it's imaginary. Man, don't you know your life is worth more than this? Catch me if you fall, catch me if you're low. The loot goes higher up, as fast as you can go. Oh, catch me if you fall, catch me when you're low.
Yo, that was a little bit of Catch. That's on the Captain of the Stars album. And let's see what else. I'll play y'all something from Call in My Mind, was the other album. I appreciate all the new people coming through. Please feel free to ask questions. There are a lot of regulars in here who have great information and who know the stream pretty well. There are also links in the description of my videos, this one and all of them, links to Electric Universe, to the gear, my music, and a bunch of other stuff. And yeah, and I also have a ton of playlists, like really have a best of playlist. I have a weird transits and flybys playlist, got a lot of Electric Universe stuff, and of course my liked playlist. So it takes a little bit of digging, but I've been around on YouTube for like 4 years now, 4.5. And I've accrued a lot of videos so far that are very interesting if people like just want to take a look at what the moon looked like 3 years ago, or where Saturn was, or Mars opposition, or anything like that. I typically don't try and brag about how many videos, but even for me, like digging back through and seeing it, it's almost like this record of, and it's kind of what I wanted to do anyway, which was create a logbook, an observational document on YouTube of the moon. And so definitely spend like a couple of nights going through the old playlists and revisiting that. I recommend it. V-Smart, what's going on? Electric Scarface, exactly. We're going to be exploring that side of the moon. I do it every show, but there are more things to see tonight. And Aristarchus, like I said, we're going to take another look and see how far the Terminator has moved. ESA Power says, what's my opinion on humans when they develop it, sending out general purpose AI to explore space? Like, I gotta say, I mean, that's really, it seems like the safest and most reliable way to send robots out to do what humans can't. However, it is really kind of, I talk about the Apollo stuff a lot because you know, there is the whole conspiracy of did they go, did they not go? But let's say they went, and that's a real thing. It's really sad that we live 50 years later in a really advanced society, or so-called advanced society, with AI on the horizon, and headsets and VR and AR and all these websites and all these medical advancements, and yet for some reason we don't have like a lunar base, we don't have a lunar observatory, we don't have reliable travel, or even people with a ton of money can't seem to take like a trip around the moon. I keep seeing these things pop up year after year, and they keep promising to do this thing, and no one ever ends up doing it. And then the ISRO, the Indian rover, just failed. The Israeli rover just failed. And these are tiny craft. Like, it should be really easy at this point to get to the moon, you'd think. So at the same time as, like, it's great to send robots, it would be amazing, even more amazing, to see human escapades to the moon, to asteroids, and eventually Mars. Like, I think humans won't go to Mars for maybe 50 years publicly. Let's see. Michael Wise says, sounds like both voices are your own. Did you record it twice and then overlap? Back in the day when I used tape decks to do that, I did that method, but this I work with Logic, so I basically just keep recording until I'm happy with the layers. It's a little bit, I feel it's a little bit like cheating, but ultimately a good take is a good take is a good take. So I try and get the best take I can, and sometimes like for Catch, this last song I played, a lot of production went into that, and you can hear it. And then a few other tracks like that I play are really just one take, first take, and it has this kind of energy that I play for y'all. Like some of the 40-minute sessions are just one straight ad-lib, and I really dig those. It's good to talk over them. I'll put one on. I've been writing a lot more like that. One, because it's more enjoyable, gives you a lot of room to kind of have musical meditations of sort. And then second, it's not really, it is kind of meandering, and it gives you a nice bed to talk over. I'll find this one right here, and it's the one I kind of start the show with. So more of both of these types of music. So this is just like an electronic pad, my buddy playing it, and I'm just ad-libbing on the guitar. It goes for like 45 minutes or more. I'll ultimately put this up online in different segments for people to be able to download it. All right, and then a dingo ate my baby. I'm a dingo ate my baby. I don't know how everybody knows that. I definitely saw that as a kid. Quick note about Scarface. Of course, I'm calling the moon Electric Scarface tonight, but typically Scarface is mythologically referenced as Mars, my bad, which we can't see tonight, but Mars apparently was close enough to Earth at a certain point where our ancestors used to call Mars Scarface because of the large gash cut in its surface. I would assume Valles Marineris. I think Shockwave can talk a bit more about that. All right, I'm just going through. I had to scroll way up, and now I'm scrolling down through the comments. So let me see. Happy Honey Big Bear agrees with me, says robots are cool, but manned missions are where it's at. I agree. Womanned missions. We should send women to the moon and have them correspond via live stream. 2 women, 2 men, and a dog. No, but you know what I mean? Like, we should open it up to anybody who wants to go. It shouldn't be just American white men, even though that's the kind of world we live in. But really, everybody should have a chance, because really it's super dangerous. And if you want to train and go to the moon, you should be allowed to. ESA keeps going, says, as far as visiting the moon goes, I believe it did happen. I'm an IT guy, and I'm familiar with the tech of the computers. There are systems and techs from the 60s. Let me find this, because this is actually a very interesting video. There is a video on the computer, the Apollo computer, from, I think, an MIT archive. I thought it was very interesting to watch. Although, I will say, like, you can develop a lot of technology and still set up a mission for public consumption. One, because, like, I believe in technologies like, you know, even though it's very public, plasma ion engines and magnetometers on spacecraft really indicate the understanding of space in a different way than typical thermodynamics and the systems that are imagined that rockets function on publicly. I feel like there's a way to function in space using ion beams and charge densities and differentials and frequency resonance. Maybe that stuff is not talked about as much. So I don't think Apollo has to be fake, but maybe we didn't see the right footage, or maybe that footage is correct, so I don't know. That video is MIT Science Reporter, the computer for Apollo. So it's just worth knowing this. I watched it a couple of times, and it's fascinating to see that kind of tech from back in '65. Scrolling back up to see if I missed anything. Alright, ESA says that modern computers with modern tech and materials ultimately would not change. Take the SR-71, for example. Put through a computer design system, nothing was done differently. I was watching the whole kind of setup on the Soviet rockets during the same period on, like, I think it was a video about, like, why the Soviets didn't go to the moon or didn't land men on the moon. And it just seems like leadership was really, I don't know, ego-driven, financially driven, but the Russian rockets with their kind of ring engines and the smaller, cheaper rockets, I don't think they thought they could really, I don't know, it doesn't seem correct. Like, the technology there, they kept on trying, and then after Apollo happened, apparently Russia tried to go again in 71 and 72. And both times, like, created massive disasters locally because the rockets just didn't fly. I think that's really fascinating. I'd love to read more about it. I'm still completely, like, I don't want to say completely green about astronomy, but I don't think 4 or 5 years is enough to really say one way or another. Still getting familiar with all the objects and how to take footage. And how to, like, this is the first year I feel even articulate enough to talk about Electric Universe, even though I've really been following it for about 5 or 6 years, and just really grasping the language to not sound like a total doofus has been a challenge. Let's see. Constantine Blaze, what's happening, says we need a telescope on the damn dark side of the moon and then have a Pink Floyd concert up there. I love that. I gotta say, Pink Floyd concerts, I've never been to one, but that Pulse concert is pretty insane just on that DVD. But a telescope on the dark side would be amazing. It's a shame that the Chinese rover that's on the dark side right now, always leave room for it to be in a studio, but apparently there's a rover on the dark side taking pictures. And yeah, it's a shame that didn't have like some sort of baked in 400, 600 millimeter lens on its camera to be able to just point it at Earth and just take a bunch of like wide, just low level, like a $200-300 400 millimeter lens. I'm gonna head back over to Saturn in a second. I'm just checking here in the chat. Electric Scarface. Wu-manned missions, hell yeah. Microwave Soda says ISS is fake. I don't know if you're just set on that, but I'll put a video here that has footage that I took of the ISS, and you tell me if you think it's fake. I mean, you still might think it's fake, but it's worth me sharing the vid. ESA Power keeps going about Soviet economy, says was really struggling back in the days, don't forget. And yeah, you're right about the disasters. Their fuel was horrifically poisonous and toxic. So when the rocks exploded, oh man, you wrote a lot. And sprayed all their fuel over the place. It was seriously bad. That's why their launch sites are so remote. But the technology was absolutely capable back in the 60s. I sometimes look at the software that lovely lass wrote to Guide Apollo. It's a stack of papers as tall as she is. Constantine, thank you. Yeah, Pink Floyd and Pompeii. That breakdown in echoes is just like freaking crazy, where just Roger Waters just cutting into that bass, and Nick Mason's just like, man, they were just on fire that session. They were really well paid at the time. So I think like that's the kind of height of it, but it's such a trip, that whole concert, the Pompeii, and that record for that matter. Oh, I know what I was finding. I was looking for my... All right, so check this playlist. Anybody can check it out. So this is all the so-called transits, flybys, UFOs that I've caught in the last few years. I know there are a few more, but I don't have those actual raw cuts, but these are most of them. Damn, Michael Wise saw Pink Floyd twice. Once in he saw Roger Waters in Argentina. Man, definitely jealous. I've seen a lot of good shows, but not Pink Floyd. I did see Rush play Moving Pictures and also Subdivisions, which is not on Moving Pictures, but that's one of my favorite songs. I saw them do a 3-hour show, I think it was like 10 years ago. Yeah, man, such a good show. Are you kidding? All of Moving Pictures? Incredible. All right, let's keep the show moving. I've been talking a lot. I'm gonna throw on Syncopated Television because I saw a request for that. It's an older track. This is on one of the albums as well. And then we're gonna head over to Saturn and then back to the moon. Hey y'all, I feel like I'm typing a lot. I'll just hop on and answer these and I'll play this track back all the way from the top. Thanks for all the kind comments and hanging out with me tonight on another session. We keep riding through space on the edge of reality, waiting for something to happen, but mostly just to be here and experience it, because man, what's cooler than tunes and space and good company? So the shot of Saturn pulled up is actually pretty decent. It does get better, but it is kind of clear, I gotta say. See the shadow on the rear of the rings. See the mid-band coming through, Cassini division. This is just camera to scope, so no multiplier. Not too bad. Yeah, ESA, I think consumer glass now definitely is not as pure, and the chromatic aberration is pretty severe. However, I wanted to hop on actually and say that I don't want to be so negative about it, because there are some incredible manufacturers today who are making like just outstanding glass and scopes. Moonlight telescopes. They're kind of escaping me right now, but a couple of like indie companies, if you just have like independent telescope manufacturers or like small telescope manufacturers, you'll find a bunch of these like Arizona, and there's one called Clementine, and even some of the bigger names are actually mom and pop or pop and son run outfits. So I really love the whole industry in terms of the lens makers, the telescope makers. If no one's ever checked it out, check out NEAF, N-E-A-F-F, I believe. I'll drop y'all a link. This is one of those, if you want to completely nerd out on astro gear. Yeah, so check out NEAF. I haven't been to it yet, but I definitely, it's like CES or E3 for video gamers. This is like our type of that event. And they always have the best gear, and if you actually want to go and buy stuff, they always have floor models. If you're in that region, I would definitely check it out if you're interested. Microwave Soda says 70s crime drama. Actually, yeah, I was kind of channeling that a little bit, I'll be honest. That's the type of mood. Like, it's very moody. It's just it's a set of chords that actually implies that type of feeling. There's some it's not minor really. It's like flat fifth and sevenths, and you can kind of build that tension and release using those types of chords. So I'll play that back and let's see if I have any other comments I can respond to. Yeah, the exposure thing. So let me show you. Right now, the reason you can't see the exposure, normally I show that to everybody, but I've actually magnified the image a little bit. Starlight mentioned it a few nights ago and I just like stretched it out. But if I turn down the ISO to something like 800, still pretty good. It's actually better because there's less noise, but it's definitely not as bright. And I think for YouTube, and especially people on iPads and iPhones, I kind of want it to show up as clear as possible. And there's something about it being in that kind of, 1600, 2000 ISO that gives it a little bit of brightness when it needs it, especially Saturn when it's on its, what is it, apogee? Is the furthering away at the highest point, the point in the orbit, and the moon, the satellite, where it's furthest, right? So on its apogee, I think Saturn's moving away from us right now, or it's much further away, and so than its perigee, and so it needs a little bit more brightness. Jupiter, on the other hand, is always very bright, so you can kind of use those kind of optimal settings. This guitar is the same guitar. I kind of use like a like a standard setup in Logic that I've programmed. It's like a combination Marshall stack with like a ton of cavern delay. I just like my delay reverb on it. And I know a lot of people are like, oh, reverb covers up a lot, but this is the kind of style of music that I like to write, and I don't need people can judge me on my licks, whatever. So I tend to use a lot of reverb and a lot of atmosphere and create layers, and then just kind of do a lot of soloing over it. And I'll take like a good solo, because I feel like solos could be really shreddy, but a lot of them are just stories. They're like getting on a mic and spitting out a story or a poem. I feel like solos are sometimes like that. You're like, okay, I've laid this really cool foundation and I've been jamming to it. I walk to the window and I have a cigarette and I'm like, all right, that sounds cool. What would I put over this? Like, what would I sing over this? And then just I'll lay down like a few solos, like 30 solos, and pick a few of them and arrange them. So that's what this track is, called Grown to Like You. So I think it's looking so good that I might just add the 2x for a second so we can see a close-up shot. Maybe it'll hold up. got the mighty Saturn. So I dropped in the 3X Televue Barlow. That's actually looking alright. I thought it would, earlier I was like, there's no way I'm gonna add the 3X tonight, but it cleared up enough and the skies are steady-ish. So we got outer band separation, you can see that. Especially with an 8-inch, it's so difficult to get this kind of resolution. As anyone will know, messing around with a 6 or 8-inch and the planets, it's really tough to get this type of detail on the rings of Saturn or like seeing the red spot on Jupiter. So just gonna hang out here for a bit, let it sit in, sink in that we're checking out this planet or X star or still star with its rings at something like, what is it, 700 million miles? I just want to double check that. Or a different distance, but about 740 million miles. And we're just seeing it coming through. That is just crazy. I think with just doing astronomy on YouTube in a world of stories and conspiracies and politics, to just admire and appreciate space as it is in its essence is something that's challenging in a way and really rewarding. So to just see this as it is without all the spacecraft and politics and money and crap, just that we get to actually see this thing and it gets to see us. So I was mentioning on the electric view that I think that planets in some ways are, actually not in some ways, are definitely conscious the way we are conscious on Earth. However, I feel that the same way Earth is conscious of us, but given its magnitude, I feel like it's the same way we look at tiny little bugs or whatever, like bacteria, or in our system or on our foot or whatever, and we think, oh, they exist, but like we don't go day to day and do our thing and think about these bugs and bacteria. Like every so often you'll give them another thought, or like, oh, there's whatever on my foot. But I bet you the planets some way are connected and talk and are just as human, in some ways more so than any one of us. So I feel like Saturn is just watching us in return, this dance between our consciousness and our optical sense, and of course our technological capabilities to bring this all together so we can experience Saturn and also listen to some groovy tunes. Because, gotta say, the audio just fills out the rest of the sensory spectrum. Just makes it all come together. All right, y'all, from quacks to Prozacs, going from 11:28 p.m. It is the day before September, the date that should not be mentioned. It's a dramatic day in America, and it was very interesting to be in the city at the time. But I don't know, I just looked at the date, and you can't really forget all that stuff. And they really don't want you to forget any of that stuff. But I'm not going to switch the mood now. But what a strange time to live in. That's all I'll say. All right, was taking some raw footage here of Saturn. And I'm going to move over to the moon momentarily, and we'll do some deep dives there. But it's actually a really decent shot of a 3X. It's clean. Clean machine. Let's get some energy going up in here.
Float, the moon is calling. A souvenir. As soon as rescued, I'll hope you near. Left fixing the phone, mixing your liquids. Now you're left for dead. Just pay your debts. Float, the moon is calling. A souvenir. As soon as rescued, I'll hope you near. Left fixing the phone, mixing your liquids. Now you're left for dead. Just pay your debts. Float, the moon is calling. A souvenir. As soon as rescued, I'll hope you near. Left fixing the phone, mixing your liquids. Now you're left for dead. Just pay your debts. Float, formidable opponent. Angry crackpot.
sting there. Gotta say he has a way to say that. I don't want nobody. I don't know, that's not even it. Nobody else but you. He has something about the way he phrases. I can't go right to that. I just gotta I gotta warm up to that. But I shall. Before the week is up, I'll have jammed for y'all. Some clouds moved in, but I want to talk about this region. Obviously, it's Aristarchus, but dare I say I have never seen this type of elevation. Or at least I don't remember seeing this type of elevation on the rear portion of the plateau. This is actually just like a particular phase. I mean, what is it, 91.8? I mean, I've definitely done this phase before. Maybe I just didn't notice, but it is pretty crazy. Either it's just clearer, maybe this phase is typically clouded out. So I'm going to go back and look at my shots and see if I've seen this one before, but maybe it's just where the Terminator line is. Maybe I'm just streaming earlier than I normally would. And anyway, let me know what you think of this, but this is crazy. I'm going to use some telestration here to indicate what I'm talking about. ESA is asking, I'm almost 40, and do I enjoy digital entertainment mediums like gaming? I used to be into video games until I started astronomy, and then I realized, like, this is the game. This is the ultimate video game. And like that's without streaming, chatting with people, talking about theories, just astronomy alone, like sitting down with a telescope and a camera and a laptop and getting a good shot that you enjoy is like an entire video game unto itself. Then getting into deep sky imaging, that whole thing, the reason the people who are in it are so hardcore, I think they were all gamers at some point, and then, or they still are. Long story short, I don't play games anymore just because I don't have time. I basically work, and then I'm on this thing, this damn computer, which is fine because I get to share this. But yeah, I do astronomy most of the day if I can. On other days, I'm just catching up on sleep. Let's see. I've never had microwave soda. I have not either. I feel like that's something that would be pretty dank. I guess pretty dank. It would be a pretty dank thing. Talking about some. What did I miss? It is very different for Aristarchus Happy Honey, right? It's so interesting. Now I remember I was going to pull up my telestration thing. There's just so many comments. See, a few more people come into the chat, and then I'm like, just right in the realm of keeping up with y'all. So bear with me. Sorry if I missed any particular comments. Microwave soda chemistry is lit. And yes, Ellie, sorry for your cat. I've lost a cat, or a family cat, and it's really one of the real deaths in my family that I remember. ESA, fair one. Oh, about the video game, right? Was going to ask if I've heard of a Star Citizen. Is that a game? But fair one. I get the work and a hobby. Yeah, there's so many games, and so like it's also become too much. I think the last game I actually played for Xbox was Grand Theft 5. Got the day one, played it for like 10 hours, like I normally would, and then I was just like, man, this is just too freaking real, and too limitless, to the point where I'm like, I just want to do things in real life, like not rob banks, just do regular things in real life, because you realize like that was that cutting, you know, how they have the uncanny valley for like realism. That was the point in video gaming where I'm like, oh, there are too many things to do in this game. There's no point in actually playing it anymore because there are too many things to do. It's like, I don't know why there's some popular games now, like, I don't know, like Minecraft or Sim. I mean, that's fun, but like, if you can go out and craft and weld and do astronomy, and like, crafts are really possible now. Like, people can do metallurgy and shit like that. I don't know why you'd ever do that inside a video game, but I know how judgmental I sound. I've played a lot of video games. I could talk about it endlessly. Man, I can't believe the clouds just moved in. I feel like this is exactly what I want to see. So I'm going to take a look outside and see what's going on. I feel like it's just one little patch. Dankity dank. Dankity dank. Der Rauscher DE says, Eve Online, Elite, Dangerous. Man, I gotta say I've never played Eve Online, but welcome. Thunderstorm from Reek. Is Shockwave Reek. Senor Reek. Alright. Tune, and I'm gonna just check what's going on outside.
I was stolen by the rock star. Don't know what they're killing for. Staring up at the familiar lights, enormous. Don't make me pay the cost. Don't wanna live another day. Of course, but what does it all? Just one bad dream. I'm trying to forget, locking my lips to break them apart. You're down into orbit, sparkling tricks to sweeten the spot. Dying to forget.
Sometimes I feel like I have the right, but other times it feels crazy in this world, like we don't have any rights at all. And you just have to kind of figure out a way forward that makes sense for everybody. I turn to music and astronomy, and I feel like a lot of y'all come to here to get soothed as well. And for me, it's one of those meditative experiences, getting all these things working at once, like I was saying. So a game in and of itself is just, for example, doing astronomy and learning about the stars by yourself, but then adding streaming to it and engaging people about space. It really kind of levels you up very quickly. You're forced to learn things on the fly and look up things. So I've learned a lot by the questions that my subscribers and people just hang out in the chat ask me, and they put me on the spot, and I've been wrong so many times. But it's good to be wrong and to be comfortable with being wrong, because that's the fastest way to get to being right, or to being at least knowledgeable. Because I don't know if there's really like a foundational ultimate right or an ultimate wrong for that matter, because you're going to find people across these different wavelengths and different spectrums and different what are they called, rarefactions and what's that other thing compressions and rarefactions in the ether, really, if you allow for sonic waves to traverse the ether and create us and the moon and all this interaction between us, then we're just dancing in a really interesting radiant fractal harmonic along with the universe at every second or whatever time fragment you want to interpret. What's up, Justin? Me and more Jello, and I'm just going through, see if I missed anybody. I have a question. I need help, says Justin Me. Please ask away. Ask away. I think I caught up on everything. If I missed a question, please post it again. And so there's a very interesting patch of like radiant clouds, and I think it's moving through. That's why I pushed up the optics so we can see it. And I'm looking for a tune right here. That song longer. Anyway, just quickly jumping in here before the next tune, want to say that's the playlist for the transits, everything going across the moon, or like Venus and Mercury and ISS, Hubble, weird satellites and stuff. The coolest one, I gotta say, if I'm looking, because this I kind of need to look at the playlist myself. So there was one where probably the Moon-Venus transit occultation is pretty good. There is Moon Strange Transit caught live. This one is really weird. I allowed myself to say Alien Mothership in the title, even though I don't really think it's aliens. But I'm gonna drop this in for y'all. Give me a sec. Copy. This one's very cool. Like, Never figured out what it was. I know it looks like balloons to some degree, but actually somebody mentioned it might be a refueling craft. It's just crazy looking, and I think that balloons would drift slightly differently, but this is definitely one of the weirder ones. And then I would say the large object, the lobster object. This one, large object transits Saturn. This one was 617. This was back in June. This one's actually very cool, and nobody's really pointed out anything about this. I feel like this is some sort of asteroid or meteor. Those are a couple of highlights. Howard Ewing says, have I ever heard of anyone having moon experiences on ayahuasca? I heard a story where a guy got a new heart from the ever-loving moon. Lucky guy. No, I know a lot of people who've done it in the jungle and in the cities, and I've never really heard them talk about the moon. I'm really the only one talking about the moon pretty much at any place I'm at. Just like moon this, moon that. Did you know the moon was this and the moon was that? Did you know like how we can see the moon and the planets and the stars? Did you know that there was a moon outside, you guys? Hey guys, I'm really annoying about it. But no, ayahuasca's never been linked to that. I've never done it, so I would probably maybe have a lunar experience, but that would be crazy. That would be crazy. All right, back to the tunes. That one is one that I dig, but I haven't written the rest of it. I want to play y'all a little demo. I'm just going to play some stuff that I haven't played. This one's from Captain of the Stars, track 2. right, that was Rid Your Mind. I was when I was a bit angstier. When I first started the channel, I was pretty angsty. Of course, you can't rid your mind of all the screens. We're probably going to meld with them someday. But at the time, I try and write songs with messages in them, but sometimes I write songs that are just like, that sound good. And this is a mix of it. Listening to the lyrics sometimes 4 years on makes you wonder like what you're going through at the time. And I know exactly what I was going through when I was writing this song. It's pretty angsty, but it drives, that's for sure. Let me roll into something else over here. I'm just skipping over tracks that I've played the last few nights. All right, this is one, no, maybe not that one. What about, bear with me everybody. The moon's looking really nice, definitely a little wibbly on the clouds. Definitely interesting patches moving through, like radiant patches and then short little clouds, puffy white ones, not elucent clouds. David says that he just viewed the object transiting Saturn. Oh, that video, right. Great catch, thank you. Just wondered if you shared this with Mark D'Antonio. I know Mark has been on, not been on the channel, but I think he's commented in my channel before. I guess I didn't share it directly with him, but please feel free to. Or, yeah, because I don't know, there are a lot of different videos. I'm sure he gets a million requests. I try and like just film it, and people tend to come across it when they need to. I guess a good way to put it. I feel like whenever there's a wave, the right people show up. So the word of mouth is out there, the word of YouTube. Man, I'm having a tough time. I've played a lot of songs the last few nights. That's what happens when you do 10 nights in a row. You start to actually, not really running out, but it's the quality, man. You gotta keep up the quality. Let me find this one. This is actually a completely fresh track. No lyrics, but this is from today. No, it's from yesterday. It's from last night. About 32 seconds. What's going on, Cleary? This is straight on.
If you want life, don't cling, don't cling. Let go, let go. How can I desire not desire? How can I surrender myself when myself is precisely an urge to hold on, to cling to life, to continue to survive? I may be like a person who has a bad habit, as a result of which he is committing suicide. He knows that, but can't give it up, because the means of death are so sweet. The way the world actually is an enormously complex, interrelated organism. People undergoing shock, people locked in the colourless, monotonous corridors of mental institute. If you want life, don't cling, don't cling. Is that if you are really aware of your own inner workings, we didn't have some campaign to have an improved brain. When you see that there's nothing else, there's nothing else. If you want life, don't cling, don't cling.
Yo, alright, so waiting for some of these clouds to clear. Per usual, 12:14 on the clock. Move into the new day, sending out good vibes, space dankness to the whole world right now. Edge of space, edge of reality. Whatever happens on the moon is probably going to affect the whole planet. So nice to know that we're watching it and it watches us. So Joe's asking if I'm on tomorrow on the 11th. Maybe. It's still pretty light early, so it might be the night after. So it might be 2 nights from now or 3 nights from now. Probably. We'll see. I might actually take one more night off because I actually plan on doing Orion and the waning moon. I'm trying to capture as many nights as possible, so I might take another night off before the full moon. We shall see. Yeah, so mostly I wouldn't go to the moon because I wouldn't trust who's sending me. Remember, never forget Gus Grissom. That's my new mantra for today, for this day every year, besides the many who suffered. Never forget Gus Grissom. And of course, the 2 other gentlemen with him, who I really should know, but I don't. I suck. I suck. Gus Grissom. He was they died in the space capsule in Apollo right before, what was it? I just want to get my facts correct here, or my wiki fake facts. It's the Grissom effect. So this guy, Gus Grissom, Virgil Ivan Gus Grissom, was one of the 7 original NASA Project Mercury astronauts and the first of 7 to die. He was also a Project Gemini and Apollo astronaut. Grissom was the second to fly in space and the first member of the NASA Astronaut Corps to fly in space twice. In addition, Grissom was a World War II vet and a Korean War vet, U.S. Air Force test pilot and mechanical engineer. He was a recipient of all his stuff. Anyway, point is, he had his doubts about the program, and he died very suspiciously and sadly, because he seemed like a really interesting cat who, although you never know, but I feel like, I know it's really blasphemous, but maybe the worst thing about Apollo was the people they sent. Out of all of it, even the entire the worst part of the conspiracy is they sent people who talk about it so I don't know. There's no soul in how it's discussed, and while people may think I'm blasphemous for not having respect for the astronauts, I totally do. I think it's not an easy job. I don't go around like slinging insults, but I definitely think that as kind of spokespeople for having gone to the moon, with all the kind of reverence that's given to Neil Armstrong, it's very strange when you actually watch his interviews and what he talks about and the way he talks. Same thing with Buzz, same thing with Michael Collins. On down the line, just check out astronauts talking about their space experiences. It's just the strangest vibe and the most, like this very consistent rhetoric that sounds scripted. Even the stuff that seems like it's from memory. All right, blasphemy over. Back to space. Current, contemporary, real, Luna. Let's see. It was very Slim Shady. That's all I'll say. I don't want to get into that realm because it's just like, it's nasty stuff, but the whole era was filled with nasty stuff. Like we live in the same kind of world now, it's not different. Just all that nasty shit's gonna exist, and all the greatest stuff like watching the moon right now is gonna also exist. All right, tune time. Tune. background tunes, and let's get down here, down and dirty on the surface. This is amazing elevation on Aristarchus. It's blowing my mind. Let's find this thing right here. Yeah. I'll just find this little jam. Why the better to hear you over? The humidity has crept in again. Actually, it hasn't even left. My brain has been in a steady state of smelt for the last, what are we going? 2.5 hours, dang. Dang, it doesn't even feel like it. What's happening, Ryan, in North Carolina? And everybody, people lurking and hanging out. Good to have everybody here tonight. Or this morning, rather. Alright, so let's get the telestration happening. No, sometimes you string together words and you think you're going to say something and you say something else. Alright. So I gotta say, let me know what y'all are thinking about Aristarchus right here. It's a very interesting shot. The Terminator is right along these two lines that actually look like filamentary, almost like guitar strings, but almost also like filamentary currents reaching from both sides, top and bottom. Definitely getting some artwork. I'm just pulling up MS Paint, of course, but I don't know where it is. There it is. All right. Okay, set this up properly. Exactly what I was doing. It wasn't registering my keyboard. I think it's just the cheap keyboard not registering the keys. All good, found. There's my scribbles. Scribbles found. Alright, so this is what I was referencing. Y'all are probably seeing this, but this elevation on the rear portion of Aristarchus Plateau, I want to see if this region is actually called something specific. It's just to the right of Schroeder's Valley, but it almost looks like an eye. I just have to pull up the atlas real quick. Amazing looking. So this is Herodotus H, Aristarchus Z, oh, Vaisala. Okay, this is interesting. So Vaisala is circular formation with bowl-shaped, and that's 8 kilometers. Let me recenter this actually. Yo, what's up, Vicky? Nice to see you. You've been lurking, cleaning. Shockwave, you headed out. Rick, Keese, brother. Hope you have a great night. I'll be on for a little while. The moon's going at least another hour. Dank fish. So Visela is what I was looking at. Visela is this little... So I have a actual thing I wanted to add. I was watching a bit more about electrical charge creating surface features, and I realized that some of these little holes that we see right here in the center could actually be vent holes. So steam vents, for example. I always call them like craterlets, and that's what the technical term is. So it's supposed to be created by little impacts, but I'll show it to you in a couple of different things, like even maybe Pearson Picard inside Crisium are basically vents from the boiling of the lunar regolith creating Crisium. And here, for example, you'll see these tiny little vent holes, possibly. Today is the first I even considered it. I hadn't seen that before. Oh, Vicky, that's almost your birthday. You mean like today or tomorrow? Anyway, I'll toast ya. Happy birthday, and many, many cosmic returns and rendezvous. Microwave Soda says venting gases, exactly. And potentially other things. So I quickly came over to Saturn because the moon was getting clouded over and Saturn was about to set. So let's just do a quick bit here, and then hopefully the moon will clear up again. It's that same patch of clouds that has just completely materialized out of nowhere. If you check out Electric Universe Eyes, who was on the channel and does electric discharge in the laboratory, you'll see that he also kind of has those little vent holes that are created. I would say kind of if you boil anything, it's the same sort of thing like when you make a pancake or when bubbles come up from a stew. I think it's the same sort of principle actually. FP Oregon, I tune to 430, what is it, 432? I don't know, the default. I've never messed with that sort of stuff. I've seen too many videos on both sides of that showing the benefits and non-benefits. Really, I try and just work with what's most efficient to some degree. It's easy to kind of target everything as made by the system, but at some point you just have to give in to it and work with it. I'm just checking if I missed anybody's comments. I don't think I did. Kimberly says I watched Primer Fields. That is excellent. Good content to know and to observe and to apply. So maybe I'll just draw a little bit on Saturn, just because I can. So Kronos right here, right? We'll have a hexagon. No, that's a pentagon, but we'll have a platonic relationship with its pole. And then the magnetic field is massive. Comes out like that. Like a spider. I wonder if Robert Smith from The Cure has a telescope in North London, and he sits outside and observes the stars and writes tunes, dark tunes. I'm just being silly. Brain is definitely on the cosmic delirium trip. That's what happens. You sit in front of screens, you get a little delirious, but add 2 screens, a camera, like monitoring the scope. Like I have the manual, I have Emmanuel Velikovsky remote control in my hand, and it should really, okay. Stop while I'm ahead on the spider web, the cosmic spider web. So those striations coming out, those filaments go along a toroidal shape. They look like really a donut in 3D, almost recursively like what Saturn is, or looks like to us, more like a flattened donut. What keeps beeping? I wonder, is it my headset that's gone out? It is my dang headset going out. That sucks. Let's see what else. I'll just have to take a few minute break and charge the headset. There's a little bit of Saturn, and then I posted it in the chat a couple of nights ago, but I'm going to put it here again. This is Damien Peach. Le Pêche. So this is, for me, the best amateur astronomer, amateur astro imager of planets, and for the longest period of time. So this guy's been doing it for, I think, longer than anyone. I mean, I'm sure observatories have done it for longer, but in terms of backyard and semi-pro, like he's the top of the game. Some of you have probably seen it, but check out Damien Peach, and I'm going to take a few minute break, charge my headset, and I'll be back in a couple. What's up, Buried Axeblade Saturn, sponsored by Krispy Kreme. Now I want donuts. Let me know in the chat if you went to a donut shop on Saturn, what kind of donut would you get? I mean, think about it. You could have any type of donut you wanted, made out of any type of element. Back in a few. Miguel, peace out. Be well. I'm trying this a little bit. I was like, let me just try and play a little acoustic. But I realize it's very late, so can't play it too loud. Let me know if this comes through. Happy birthday, happy birthday. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, happy birthday, happy birthday to you, happy birthday. Time anyway. Now you're older. So I got some little birthday song for Vicky. Hawaiian beachy vibe. It's a little guitar, and I'm holding it ever so close to the mic, and I'm also trying to sing into the same mic. Let's fly to the stars together. I think it's in Mars you will find a hut with 4 people hanging out. They got a crowd around. They're talking some about the situation. Left you out in the cold. It's total desolation. I met you out on Saturn rings. A fold of space apart to your eyes, to your heart. Oh, as I say, I love it. Then I say I thank you too. As an off would say, and hard to remedy. Let's make a song about Tycho and Aristarchus. They found each other, had a duel, and knocked his nose out into the pool. They got it replaced, he's run out his face. So Tycho, Brahe, where you going to? Where you coming from? Aristarchus, you lived way before Tycho. I know. Lived way before Tycho, or maybe it's Tycho, you know. Technically New Year, technically summer, technically New Year. Waking my neighbors, lake and forest here. Waking up forest creatures, vibrational remedies. I will see you soon, Kimberly. Have a good night. Have a good night. Night, 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 night. Have a good night. Have a night. Have a good 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 night. Such a good night. Have a good night. Have a good night. Have a good night. Have a good night. I'm gonna get back to the moon, I promise. I'll get back to the zooms on the moon. Have a good night. Ooh, sometimes you run out of steam. Drifting slowly to Mari Frigoris. Seeing Sinus Iridum. So the moon is directly as I see it. It's starting to set, so the rotation is really interesting. Yo, peace out, Tom. I don't know who's leaving or coming in or going, but let me know so I can say goodnight to the proper peoples, the proper authority. All right, so I'm going to move around a bit more. What else we got? Have I been on a while? I've been on a while. 3 hours and 3 minutes. Perfect timing. I don't even know who Keller Williams is. Let me type in Keller Williams. Maybe I don't want to know. Like a real estate agent? Or does he do like those YouTube videos about real estate? Oh, I was singing goodnight to somebody. That was like a chat room song thing. No, I'm still going for a little bit longer. Yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to fake y'all out. Somebody was leaving, so I said goodnight to them 100 times because I got stuck in a loop. When you try and like riff on a line. Looping artist. All right, got it. All right, save that. Oh, I think I have seen it. It's pretty fucking rad, actually. I didn't remember the name. Okay. It is very freaking hot, but I'm gonna get up and walk around and keep zooming around the moon. I'll be right back and we'll talk a bit more about Aristarchus. So I gotta stand up for a second. Get really cramped doing these shows, I'll be honest. I'm happy to do it in the next room on the full moon, and the waning crescents will be very relaxing. I think it's cleared up to do this shot. I really want to talk about the elevation on Aristarchus, but there are other features to see. The goodnight song was Dank, thank you. Dank has now overtaken the chat entirely. The song is a bit dank. Tiny dankness. It Was Kimmy here? That's what I was wondering. I got lost. K-I-M-I. Well, anyway, happy birthday to Vicky, right? And, yeah. My brain is jello. Alright, let me stretch. Stretch. 98 bugs on my screen, that's for sure. Probably a few more, a few hundred more. All walking towards the light, basically transmitting our brainwaves to a database somewhere, the Insectarium globalist group. All right, back at Aristarchus, looking dank. So I want to talk about this, what's going on over here, and look at this insane lunar phenomenon at the back. I don't think I've really ever seen it look like this. It looks like it looks insane. That's all I gotta say. Got a hexagon in the back, lit up with lights, and plugs coming from left and right. Holy shit. All right, give me a second here. Let's telestrate. To illustrate. Am I talking about those moon bugs? I'm talking about these little tiny bugs that crawl up the screen. And they just crawl up the screen, they circle around, they crawl down the screen, and then they crawl up the screen again. And that's the extent of their tiny lives. Mass squawktometer. All right, yes, screenshot, of course, of Aristarchus looking unbelievable. But let's note this. What's going on here? So, oh, hold on. Let me clear this. One moment. City's on flame. All right. So what do we got going on? We got Aristarchus crater. That's a little too wide. Hold on. Push this up a little. Okay. Aristarchus crater right here. So I'm trying to keep it centered. I'm telling you, these bugs are like just crawling up. Crawling up, and then Herodotus right over here. That's really awful. Try to do better. That's Herodotus. And then Herodotus does this crazy, Schroeder's Valley rather, does this crazy kind of snaking feature. But then the branching off that we see from, pretty much, we always see it from the other side. Like from here. When we look at it from here, this elevation doesn't look as prominent as it does tonight. So this is basically just Herodotus breakouts. They call this, and then there was Basely. Let me find this. Vaisala. This one's really interesting. So I want to find this correct. That is. Yeah, but these Herodotus here. I'll write this down. Drift is rough. Come on, chill out, Drift. I want to write on you. Alright, so Aristarchus and then Herodotus is this flat-floored feature to the left. And then this kind of snaking canyon is Schroeder's Valley, or Vallis Scroteri. Wait, who's leaving? Is David leaving? David, take care. Thanks for stopping by tonight. And I'll catch you on a future show, I hope. Alright, removing these labels. And what I want to note is Vaisala. And that is V-A-I-S-A-L-A. This is, I've never noted this feature before. So it's a first. That's like right around here. I got sidetracked earlier talking about vents, vent holes. Damn, that is a vicious looking mosquito. You kidding me? You kidding me, man? You're all gonna pay. Alright, I might have to tackle this. Look like a little incoming jet. Tiny F-16 coming at me with a syringe, syringe tip. All right, Vaisala, and give me a second, y'all. Let me try and deal with this mosquito. Let's do this. I think, dare I say, I got it. It was on a wall where I could see it, and I think I hit it. I have like a little bug thing, gray dirt. Seems like I got it. Anyway, I'm not gonna let it slip, distract me, because there are these three little, like, transient lunar phenomenon, I think, like little sparklies that correct me, regulars and whoever, but I haven't really seen that before. I want to say I would have remembered it, I think. Yeah, check this out. Maybe it's just that we haven't seen it at this angle before, but anyway, interesting to note. Mons Herodotus, and then Montes Agricola. I guess it shows these regions, but definitely haven't seen them before like that. Yo, eat all your fish, what's happening? It also looks like a hexagon. So let me try and punch that in. Yo, Bom Dia, take it easy. Nam Bam. Catch you on the next one. Alright, so there's that rear hexagonal tri-light, the two lights to the right and one to the left. I guess those are like mountains of Herodotus, but definitely highlight peaks, either electrostatic, dust, or outgassing rather, of ionized gases into the vacuum. The atmosphere is making the light flicker, but I think if you pay attention, you can kind of see what's part of the moon and what's part of our atmosphere. Definitely kind of the shaking is due to the scope on the steps, you know? Or the atmosphere here in Florida is like cooking. That is crazy. That's how it normally looks, right? Look, the light shifted a bit more, and all of a sudden those ridges that looked so high now look flattened out. No, it's still there. When you zoom in, you kind of lose it a little bit. That's crazy. And the other things I wanted to note were these. This stuff right here. Oh, back. Little, maybe vent, and then striation, and then over here. Oh man, I can't do that, can I? Try that again. Yo, peace, dear Rashar. DE, off to bed. Have a great night. I'm going to start wrapping it up soon, but this is particularly good footage of Aristarchus that can't pass up, can you? Now, this portion right here always seems flattened, but now it looks elevated. It's crazy how the eye plays tricks. Even this region right, the beginning of Schroeder's Valley is elevated, and you have this other kind of semi-ringed, broken ring over here. Almost looks like Sinus Iridum, or what's the other one? Damn, forgetting that one that mimics Sinus Iridum. But I like all this stuff here. Looks like Z O E V E. I don't know. V.2.F. And something going on over here. All right. Let's hang out, get a quick shot of Sinus Iridum. Alright, I've already played this track a bunch of times. Let's play a different one. What about...
politics. Speak your election talk. Tell you what the narrative. Tell you when to get off. Sick of if you wanna live. Kids on holiday. You never know what's in the skies today. Oh, what's in the air? No, nothing you can see. No, nothing you can be. What's in the air today?
everybody. Thanks so much.
Just when I thought it was all figured out,
I really appreciate all the new people and all the regular Spacians hanging out. It's been a long show, but a good one. Moonlight, exactly. It's the mantra tune. Alright, gonna see if I can get everybody. Vicky. Oh, Moonlight, I think. It's just, you can say it either way. I'm sure I was just intoning it. Is that the word? Intonating? I don't know. I was just invoking spirits of the moon. Alright, Vicky, have a great night. Eat all your fish, take it easy. Happy Honey, Big Bear, take it easy. Ellie Wynn, as always, you and the cats. Big loves. Flat Earth Dude, peace out. Kimberly Schick, peace out. Have a great night. Starlight Spectrum. Howard Ewing, Danktastic. Who else you got? I don't know, hit me up at the bottom of the chat. I'll stay on for a couple more minutes. Moo Bear, thank you. Check out the Electric Universe peeps, Electric View, Thunderbolts Project, and the rest in my description. And also, like I mentioned earlier, definitely have some fun with the old playlists. I've organized a bunch of them, so you can check out the best of, and lots of old chat room songs. If you happen to stumble across a show where you found some good songs that I played, maybe let me know in a future stream and I'll flag that. I'm going to try and put together a compilation of songs from old shows, but that's going to take a while. Be well. I'll catch you on the next one, everybody. Peace, peace, peace. Oh, also, happy birthday, Vicky. Have a great one. Hope you enjoy the whole day. I know it's a crazy day to have it on, but you got your own life to lead. Much love.